Vya Jata Zataryo Mudam Madhya Vit Udakshata Vishavasataryo Vivire Paramamudam. All right. Alrighty. Ramaha, Lord Balaram, Cha, and Achyutam, Krishna, the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead. Alingya, embracing. Jahasa, laughed. Asya, his. Anubhavavit, knowing well the omnipotence. Premna, out of love. Tam, him. Ankam, up on his own lap. Aropya, raising. Punaha, punaha, again and again. Udayakshata, looked upon. Gavaha, the cows. Vrishaha, the bulls. Vatsat aradyaha, the female calves. Lebire, they attained. Paramam, supreme. Mudam, pleasure. So translation, Lord Balaram embraced his infallible brother and laughed, knowing well the extent of Krishna's potency. Out of great feelings of love, Balaram lifted Krishna up on his lap and repeatedly looked at him. The cows, bulls, and young female calves also achieved the highest pleasure. So you can repeat. Lord Balaram embraced his infallible brother and laughed, knowing well the extent of Krishna's potency. Out of great feelings of love, Balaram lifted Krishna up on his lap and repeatedly looked at him. The cows, bulls, and young female calves also achieved the highest pleasure. So there's no purport by the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada to this purport, but I am going to read the purports of the Acharyas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments as follows. Balaram smiled. You have done just the right thing. Though he was knowledgeable of Krishna's strength, he looked at him intently again and again, Udayakshata. He looked to see if Krishna had incurred any injuries from fighting Kaliya. So Jiva Goswami comments. He then met with Balaram, who had given an opportunity for the people of Braj who were grieving to meet him. That is described in this verse. The word cha indicates that Balaram internally dried up because of the people's sorrow. Later, meeting Krishna, who never loses his powers, Achyutam, taking his hand, he laughed. Why did he laugh? He knew that Krishna could accomplish anything by his will alone, anubhava vit. As a scolding, he laughed, as if saying, you have done well, making your people of Braj suffer like this. Besides this, other men and women, bulls and calves also rejoiced. Nara, Narya, Vrisha, Vatsa. Instead of this, Gavo Vrisha Vatsatara is sometimes seen. And Sanatana Goswami, after describing the actions of devotees having affection, Shukadeva describes the meeting with Balaram endowed with great affection and also knowledge of Krishna's powers. The word cha indicates that Balaram also internally dried up. Later, meeting Krishna, who never loses his powers, taking his hand, he laughed. Achyutam indicates that Krishna was never devoid of his hair arrangements, etc., or he never falls from his greatness. He knew the various powers, anubhava, of Krishna. His own powers to manifest the fire to destroy the universe, was nothing compared to Krishna's powers. He remembered Kaliya squeezing him in his coils, or he knew how Krishna could cleverly ascertain how to release himself from Kaliya. Another version has Nara, Naryo, Vrisha, Vatsaha. Nara refers to the people in general, or to Nanda's servants and the Pulina men. Another version has Mriga first. This indicates that first the cows recovered first, or the sequence indicates the intensity of bliss. Thus Nara placed first indicates Nanda's intense bliss, but others' bliss depended on his bliss. Quite interesting. So what I'd like to talk about, and I don't know if I'll talk about it for the whole class because we may go ahead to the next verse, was Balaram actually getting upset with Krishna, because this is, of course, in the previous commentary by Jiva Goswami. So, Om Gana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shilakaya Chakshura Meditam Yena Tazbai Shigadavain Maha. So Balaram getting upset with Krishna because Krishna put the residents of Vrindavan into such stress. So it's interesting because we hear in the Brahma Samhita, Advaita Achyuta Nadir Ananta Rupa Madhyam Purana Purusham Navyovinam Cha Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajame. And that verse means that there may be many appearances of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, manifestations, incarnations, avatars, whatever. Ananta, which basically means without an end, right? You're the Sanskrit. Without an end. That means without an end, basically means unlimited, infinite, basically, in English. So there's unlimited appearances of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they're all one. They're all the same person. I mean, even use the word they are all the same person. I don't know if that's appropriate. I would just say all the manifestations of the Supreme. It's just like Prabhupada explained, it's like a man in the office is the same as the man at home. But the analogy doesn't hold in all respects, because the man in the office will remember his home life. You understand? So when he's in the office, he'll remember what he does at home. And he'll be perfectly aware, hopefully, if he keeps a web camera at home, he'll be perfectly aware of what's happening at home. And Krishna being, the man in the office, referring to Krishna in terms of the Purusha avatars or other expansions of Krishna, the Chaturvyuha expansions, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Ruda. And of course, beginning with Balaram. Of course, Balaram's not the man in the office. Balaram's still in Vrindavan. But the other expansions of Krishna actually are in the office, so to speak. This is awe and reverence. So the question is, if they're all the same person, why? Not they, sorry. That's actually the wrong expression. Krishna's expansions are all the same. It's hard to find the right words. But anyway, everyone's the same, for lack of better words. And how can you not be aware of what's happening somewhere, what you're doing somewhere else, if you're the same person? If you're omniscient, if you're omnipresent, if you're aware of what everybody's thinking. We were talking about this in our Bhagavad Gita class tonight, that we're talking about how the super soul, Paramatma, is in everyone's heart. And he's actually aware what everyone's thinking, what everyone's doing. And I use the example that Krishna is actually in the pig's heart. As the pig is entering into the slough, the ditch or whatever it is. And of course, I also made reference to the rainbow festivals and things like people go into or Woodstock, where people actually went and with the pigs into the slough. So anyway, so Krishna's aware of that, and Krishna's watching. We hear this all the time, that one bird or two birds are in the tree and one bird is watching the other bird. And Krishna's aware. He's watching through your eyes. He's watching as the super soul, as you're engaged in, illicit activities in private, or as you're rolling around in the mud as a pig. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, isn't it? When you think about it. Sarasya chaham ridi sanavishto matak smritir jnanam apohanam cha. And not only that, Krishna is giving you what? Intelligence, remembrance, and forgetfulness to do your pig stuff. According to your desire. I mean, so that's really omniscient. That's one of God's qualities. So why is it, taking it back to the topic of this verse, so why isn't God omniscient when he's doing something? And here we find that Balaram is not, always omniscient. Of course, he's omniscient to a certain extent. He understood Krishna's power. But he really, is thinking, why did Krishna, in other words, he didn't know the why of the whole thing. Why has Krishna put all these residents who are very dear to him in distress? Like if you put someone unnecessarily in distress who loves you, that's very bad, isn't it? Like, Adipurush was at the Hare Krishna temple, and he's putting his parents in distress.
Well, there's the difference between material sense.
I know. I'm getting to that point. But I'm saying it's not good unless you have a higher spiritual purpose. That I know. To put people, if it's for no reason whatsoever, why are you putting people in distress? So, of course, Krishna is putting them in distress to bring them closer. Because that's spiritual. That was the point you were making. That spiritual relationship is such, and we made that point yesterday, that the more the devotee is in distress, the more he's enjoying and connected with Krishna. And, because that's the highest. Vipralamba, separation. Or anxiety is much more intense than just like, ordinary life, right? If I'm in anxiety, like a parent has anxiety over their children. Or right now, we're in anxiety over Bhakti Chur Maharaj's situation. So we're thinking of him a lot more. I mean, ordinarily, he's not my guru, but ordinarily, I'll think of him, when I have some business to interact with him on the GBC, and it's not my meditation on him. But when he's in distress, that causes me to meditate on him more. So this is actually Krishna's reason, that he wants the devotees to meditate on him in distress and connect with him closer. And this is the point we made yesterday. But the point I'm making today is that Balaram really was upset with Krishna for doing this. And actually, the verse we read yesterday, Narada Muni was upset with Krishna too. Right? Remember that verse I was reading from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita yesterday? That Narada Muni was saying, these are not your, Vaikuntha residents. These are actually your Braj residents, are very close and very dear to you. So this is because of the nature of Yoga Maya. So Yoga Maya can affect each and every one of the Lord's expansions differently, which is interesting. It's not that, all right, Yoga Maya makes Krishna forget that he's God, But it makes Balaram forget that he's God or forget what Krishna is doing in a different way. I mean, it's like when Balaram, here's another example. What's that? Maybe someone can. There's a thing over there. Just shut it off. Yeah, they're right over there. It's off. It's okay. It's forgiven. So just like you have those incidents where the calves and the cowherd boys were stolen by Lord Brahma. And Balaram was like amazed that, how come all the calves and, the older cows and the mothers were actually showing more affection for their children than they were before, because their children had become Krishna, or Krishna was manifesting himself as their children. So you see in many instances Balaram is not aware of what Krishna is doing. Or let's take the instance in when Arjuna was going to kidnap Subhadra. Everybody knows that. So Krishna made the plan that Arjuna would kidnap Subhadra, and Balaram wasn't aware of it until it happened. Right? And he and Krishna are the same person. They're the same. That's so amazing if you think about it. So anyway, Arjuna kidnaps Subhadra, or Subhadra's driving the chariot, so she's kidnapping Arjuna, as the case may be. And Balaram is getting really upset, calling the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty to basically attack Arjuna, either capture him or kill him or whatever, because he feels that Arjuna has actually defamed the whole Yadu dynasty by kidnapping Subhadra when she was meant to be married to Duryodhana, right? And so then Krishna's just standing there smiling. And Balaram says, why are you just standing there smiling? Why aren't you saying something? And then Krishna intercedes, cools Balaram down. And there's so many instances of that. Another instance is when Duryodhana is fighting with Bhimsen after the Battle of Kurukshetra, at the end of the Battle of Kurukshetra. And then Krishna shows Bhimsen how to kill Duryodhana. He keeps slapping his thigh. Hit him below the belt, Prabhu. And so finally, and Krishna's the one who makes the trick, so that Duryodhana is vulnerable below his belt. And so Bhimsen does that, and Balaram gets really angry, and Krishna has to cool him down. So that there are so many instances of, even sometimes disagreements between Krishna and Balaram, right? It's really amazing. It's really amazing. Disagreements or different strategies or misunderstandings between Krishna and Balaram. And so here's another instance of misunderstanding or, whoops, there it is again. Okay, went off. Here's another instance, not between Krishna and Balaram, but let's say Krishna and Mahavishnu. There's that story where this Brahmana in Dwarka keeps losing his sons right after they're born. And of course it's Mahavishnu who's stealing the sons. And so he goes to the assembly house, Sudharma assembly house, and he says, what kind of a king are you, Ugrasena? And Krishna, of course, assisting the king. You cannot even protect my children. And Arjuna's there at the same time, and Arjuna says, basically, I'll protect them. I'm the mighty Arjuna. And if I can't protect them, then I'll give up my life. So he goes. He can't protect the last son of the Brahmin from being kidnapped or disappearing, whatever. And Arjuna gets ready to commit suicide. In Japan, that's called harikari, where they disembowel themselves. So anyway, he gets ready to commit suicide, entering the fire, actually. And Krishna says, "No, it's not a good idea." So he gets on his chariot, takes Arjuna, and goes, passes through all the coverings of the material universe, and gets to Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu says, "I made this trick so I could see you. I wanted to see you." And Krishna says, "Okay, Hare Krishna." Of course, he doesn't say Hare Krishna. And then they go back. I mean, it's just, to me, it's such an amazing fact that there's actually disagreements, not understanding what's happening between the different incarnations. And he's always the same person. It's not that we worship many gods. We have one God, Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasabda Vricha. And I remember when I was young, sometimes you'd have these movies where one person would play several parts. I don't know if you've ever seen those. There's one girl, I forget her name. She would play 2 parts or 3 parts in the movie, and they would use some camera tricks like that. But they were always aware what they were doing. But Krishna's and his expansion are not always aware. And yet he's omniscient, contrasting this omniscience with his lack of awareness. And this is because he voluntarily puts himself under Yogamaya to enjoy these different interactions. Because if he always, and all the expansion of his were always aware, hey, we're just an expansion of Krishna here, then where would the fun be? So this is getting back to the psychology of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As we've mentioned many times before, when Krishna does something, there's only one motivation behind it. I mean, there's secondary motivations, but there's only one motivation, which is to enjoy. And when Krishna, and even his compassion for us is because he wants to enjoy with us. He's missing us. There's some lack that he feels. I mean, actually, he's not lacking anything. As we know, Om Purnam Purnamidam, that the Supreme Personality of God is perfect and complete. He's not lacking anything. And even so, the Ishopanishad says, even though there are so many perfect and complete manifestations that come from him, he remains perfect and complete. It's not that, he creates the material world and then, he has 50% less energy after that. Can you imagine? Just like I do something, I go swimming and I feel a little less energy. I sort of used up my passion for the day. But Krishna is not like that. And then also he has Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrama Sevimanam. He has unlimited Lakshmis, he has Surabhi cows, and so many things in the spiritual world. So he's not lacking anything. He's not lacking anything. Yet he's lacking, in one sense, emotionally, he's lacking us. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita story of Gopal Kumar, he's depicted as, when is Gopal Kumar coming back to me? I miss him, basically. And Krishna takes the part of Gopal Kumar's guru to give Gopal Kumar the mantra so that Gopal Kumar could eventually come back to him. He's missing him. So these are the amazing qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That even though he's complete in himself, he's hankering for us, he's hankering for our association, he's missing us, even though he's complete in himself, even though all those incarnations, manifestations, avatars, at least the Vishnu Tattva, avatars, or let's say expansions, that would be more precise. Because avatar means to descend. It's not that all of Krishna's expansions necessarily descend. So 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 each and every one may be thinking differently, simultaneously, and he's the same person. And so this is the inconceivable nature of God. I mean, I think hearing these descriptions makes you just simply appreciate how God is, achintya, inconceivable. So I think that's all I had to say about this particular verse. Should we go on, or should we take some questions? Go on. Okay, so we will go on to the next verse. I mean, most of these verses are just descriptive. There's not too much to say about them. I just was amazed at how Balaram was actually, at least in his mind, chastising Krishna in this particular verse. So, in this particular instance. So, text 17. Nandam vipra samagatya guravasa kalaktrakaha uchuste kaliha grasto dishya muktastavatmajaha. So the translation is, all the respectable brahmanas, together with their wives, came forward to greet Nanda Maharaj. They said to him, your son was in the grips of Kaliya, but by the grace of providence, he is now free. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Gurava refers to Purohits such as Bhaguri. Jiva Goswami says, the brahmanas spoke out of bliss. Guru Vaha refers to the priest. Vipra refers to other brahmanas. The brahmanas had left Braj along with Nanda to come to the lake. Now they came close to him. They were famous as great devotees. This is good fortune for us and you. Sanatana Goswami says, the brahmanas spoke out of bliss to satisfy Nanda. Guravaha refers to the priest. Vipra refers to the other brahmanas. Or Guravaha can modify Vipraha, great brahmanas. They had left Braj with Nanda and now approached him. By coming with their wives, they became famous as the highest devotees. By good fortune, Krishna is free. This is good fortune for you and us. Being joyful, immediately hold a festival. This verse shows that brahmanas were intent on satisfying Nanda. By those respectful words, Nanda became most affectionate to his son. And maybe we'll go on to the next verse. Dehi danam dvijatinam Krishna nirmukta hetave Nanda prita manarajan ga suvarnam tadadishat. The Brahmanas then advised Nanda Maharaj, to assure that your son will always be free from danger, you should give charity to the Brahmanas. I'll explain that. With a satisfied mind, O king, Nanda Maharaj then very gladly gave them gifts of cows and gold. And Jiva Goswami replies, being joyful, you should perform a great festival. Sanatana Goswami says, being joyful, you should perform a great festival. So, it may appear here that the Brahmanas have some pecuniary or financial interest in it. It's not, like you think about Kali Yuga Brahmanas who have lists of different sacrifices they perform, and they have a price list at the same time, and they take MasterCard, Visa, and American Express. You see that. Even some temples, it's shocking that you can have your Griha Pravesh performed for some hundreds of dollars or whatever it is like that. But the actual brahmanas should be interested in performing the ceremony, and then whatever people give, they give. But in this particular case, they were not greedy, because these brahmanas were pure devotees. So these brahmanas understood the Vedic system, that if Nanda Maharaj gave cows and gold, it would be for their benefit. They were speaking this not simply not at all out of personal interest, but they were saying this for the benefit of Nanda Maharaj. Just like Prabhupada would say sometimes when he gave initiation, you should give Guru Dakshin. It's not that Prabhupada needed Guru Dakshin. Or Prabhupada was thinking, hey, this is good, giving initiation. You get all this Guru Dakshin. Nowadays, of course, there's some discussion on the GBC conference about Guru Dakshin, how to take it from the poor, suffering gurus. Give it to the poor, suffering Prabhus. Anyways, there's some discussion about that, but that's actually part of the reciprocation. What do we hear? Dadati pratigranati guyamakyati prichati bhunkte bhojyate chaiva. That devotional service increases by reciprocations, by giving gifts, accepting gifts, and that's the brahmana's duties. And so many times you'll find brahmanas, like in the sacrifice described in the Bhagavatam, like King Marut, who was doing his sacrifice. The brahmanas get so much gold, and they're not interested. They just leave it there. One of the reasons Arjuna is called Dhananjaya is because he collects wealth, not by going to the bank or robbing people, but there are many sacrifices. This is described in the Bhagavatam, and also the Mahabharata especially describes this. Many sacrifices. The Brahmins get all this wealth, and they're just too heavy. And even if they get the wealth, what do? They give it away. And that of the Brahmin thing, so many sacrifices I perform today, so many more will I do tomorrow. Just like one time I was doing a sacrifice, and people put gold coins, it was in Mexico, gold coins in the sacrifice. And I was thinking, this is the best sacrifice I've ever done in my life. And then, after the sacrifice, I said, thank you for your donation. They said, no, we were just purifying our gold coins. So, that's quite interesting, putting the gold in the sacrifice. So the point is, that's part of a devotional exchange. So the guru has a right to ask for dakshin. And I've done that sometimes, too, because that actually is the culmination of the solidification of the initiation when there's some dakshin given. Now the dakshin, I remember when I collected dakshin for Prabhupada when I got initiated, I think it was only $25. But I went out in the street, went to people's homes and said, basically, my guru, this is for my guru because I'm taking an initiation. And people gave it, and it was very purifying. So that's the point. The Brahmanas are not being greedy here. So, any questions or comments?
One thing that's very striking in Brahma's Leela is that it doesn't appear, they don't feel that they're in the spiritual world.
Yeah.
They're just living a normal life.
Yeah, Balaram is worried that Krishna got injured. Did he break a limb? Does he have some scratches on his body? And he has a spiritual body. It is amazing. They're actually, in one sense, an illusion, but, Yogamaya illusion, that they have fragile bodies, and they could die. It's amazing. That Krishna has a fragile body. It's all for love, So that illusion is required to have love. Right? Whoops.